how men trigger women. I got a quick video to show y'all, and then we'll get into the discussion.
Suggest take your time. Even if you feel like you got the best possible response, there's so much information. Please go take 5-10 minutes, an hour, and just sit with it.
Sometimes it's like, nah, let's talk about it now.
Right.
But then we have to recognize what version of you just said, nah, let's talk about it now. Is it the one that's like, nope, because I already got this point and this point? You've already tallied the points, the scores in your head about how you are about to diminish those points that your partner just had. That's the one that's ready to rush into the conversation.
Like somebody say something slick to you in battle rap, even still in the midst of their verse, if you are a good rebuttaler, you are already thinking of your response and how you could flip what they said. I know a lot of people could probably relate to this, especially probably a lot of men. As y'all are indicating what you would like us to do better or different, a lot of times we perceive that as we are not enough, especially when I hear my wife is hurt based on something I did. It's not a matter of me wanting to dismantle what you said, but I'm kind of navigating through this also for myself, like, yo, I just hurt my wife. Like, that don't make me feel good. So before you even complete your thought and lay out what you need to lay out, I'm already doing rebuttals. So I'm not even fully 100% hearing everything, the energy, the emotion underneath what you're trying to say, because I'm already kind of picking apart the argument in my head. Indicate to your partner, don't do rebuttals right now, right? Really listen to me. A lot of times we kind of trying to do both at the same time.
All right. And how do men trigger women? I'm gonna start with you, Coach K. What are some ways, and what do you feel about what he was explaining?
Sorry. I
Y'all
don't
want me to run
know.
it? Y'all want me to run it back one more time?
I mean, it was kind of long. I mean, it's up to you, but I'm trying to get my thoughts together. And my cat just jumped in front of my face, and that just
I
lost my
come back to
train
you.
of thought.
It's cool. I come back to you. I come back to you. I go to you, Paris.
Men trigger women when they're dismissive of us, of the things that we say, when they use our emotions as a way of being tactical and saying, oh, well, this is the reason why you're doing that, you're doing too much. It's a lot of the verbiage, but most of the time it's in the nonchalant, dismissive demeanor, right? And when you're talking about an argument and you're talking about how men behave in an argument versus how women behave, typically what we see, right, is the men typically want to leave. However, women want to address it right there in the moment. And then they act as if we're doing too much when they come back and pretend everything's okay and they've calmed down and they've actually wanted to utilize sex as a weapon to, dismiss the problem, or they typically try to make it seem like we're doing too much when we still want to address the problem. That's how they trigger us. They don't really understand a lot of times, not necessarily in the moment, right? But if you're addressing the issue and you're really hearing me out as opposed to trying to attack me, and you're actually guiding the conversation to say, hey, listen, you can say this without belittling, dehumanizing, which women should know this. Women should know this. But if men were to say, you can address this without raising your voice, dehumanizing, or belittling, or attempting to emasculate me, I'm willing to hear you out. A lot of these conversations wouldn't even be about a trigger at all, because a lot of the times women are just pushing it to the back of their mind and waiting on the opportunity for that tally mark to come out.
If you had to put a percentage on it in terms of the men that you dealt with that did it versus those that did not, did actually, you could tell they were actually listening to listen and have the conversation, what would you say? Would you say there was a higher percentage of men that were listening to respond, or they
I
actually?
can say there are only 4 men, and my current one is one of them. 4 men that actually listen, acknowledge, and provide a solution to the problems that I come to them with the first time. Everybody else, and I would say everybody else because I also look at the caliber of those men. I also look at the demeanor of those men, the behaviors of those men. But typically, those 4 men, they addressed the issue, they acknowledged it, they didn't run from the problem, And they made me feel comfortable enough to where even now going back to address the conversation or have a hard talk, it's a lot more easier than what I thought it would be. I also learned to control myself in dealing with those men. One of them happened to be my high school sweetheart. He was doing that as a kid. He was doing that far younger, but his upbringing was different. And when he and I talked, it was always personalized. It was always very thorough. But he also had to assert himself and let me know you're not going to talk to me any type of way. You know, you can deal with me better than you deal with me, and I had to check myself. So I learned to do that over time. So now that's not even that was never a conversation my current man had to have with me because I learned that early on. My current man never had to tell me watch your tone. My current man never had to tell me you're not going to call me out my name. He's never had to tell me those things. But overall, the majority of men do not know how to handle the issues that way in order for a woman to feel like she's being heard and want to move forward with them.
All right, it's on you, Hank. How do men trigger women? Or how have you triggered?
You want to know how I trigger them personally?
I mean, either or. Either
some just being sarcastic sometimes. Me just being present will trigger some of these ladies up here on the stage and trigger women before. I mean, some of the things I said, like I said about gender roles, that triggers some women. I mean, you won't know about personally, but for the most part, when women, what Paris was saying was, men usually walk away, don't want to argue. The reason why he don't want to argue right there in the mound because he knows it's going to go left. Because y'all don't play fair. Y'all don't play fair at all. And like you said, your man didn't have to tell you to watch how you talk to me. Well, most women don't. That's not how they talk to a man. They talk to him with a condescending tone. They talk to him like they're children. They don't talk to him. They lecture him. They don't listen to him when they are ready to respond. They just want to keep talking. So really, we just there to listen to you. We are sounding goddamn bored. So, and then when he decides that he wants to speak back, then now the trigger. Well, what you even talking for? Why you even open your goddamn mouth? Because she didn't want you to talk. She just wants you to listen. Even though it was a situation between you and her, she just wants you to hear her and get her shit off. But don't want to hear what you got to say. Because what you got to say is irrelevant. But then she'll come back and turn with the same breath. Are you listening to me? Did you hear what I said? Who the fuck are you talking to? You're not my goddamn mother. So guys, if you have to check your woman like that, then do it. Now, you may not use the harsh language that I use, but you may want to bring to attention, you are not my mother. You don't need to talk to me like that. You don't need to disrespect me. You could talk to me like I'm talking to you. Calm, cool, and collective and respectfully. Let's keep it there. Now, if we can't, we don't need to have a conversation because that's not what you really want anyway. You just want me to listen to your ass.
Well, I will say this: you have to look at the dynamic of how the generations are communicating. Because in my experience, right, I grew up when cell phones became a commonality for teenagers, and I've always had one. Simply put, we do deal with the whole idea of going to a man, trying to talk to him, texting out all. And I ain't saying this is the perfect way of communication, but texting out all of our thoughts, all of our feelings in the nicest, most simplest way, or texting out all of our frustrations. Acknowledging this, showing examples, showing the real proof of what we come with, and the response will be okay.